These are the functions, guys, which we are going to do right away. Count A, then mute everybody, count blank, count ifs, sum you already know the sum function, sum ifs. Similarly average, then we have the average if. So these if functions, they are very important. And then we have average ifs, and then the use of wild characters. Somebody is not on mute. Star and question mark. This is what we are going to do now. So what is a count function? It counts or calculates numbers only. Count A, it counts everything, which means number plus text. Count blank, it counts only blank cells. Count if, it counts on one criteria. So you can, if you have a number of items and there is a repetition, you can also count that how many times that number is coming. Count if, it counts on multiple criteria. You can write as many criteria as want. If you have a multiple conditions, like in the if and, we can put up these so many conditions. Then you have the sum. Obviously this is to sum the values. I don't think I have to write it. Sum if, to sum the values, to plus the values. Values means I would write number because you cannot sum the text. To sum the numbers basis one criteria, and then to sum the numbers basis multiple criteria. So wherever we have the plural, ifs, you see that I'm writing the multiple. Same way, guys, average if. So average if is to find the average of numbers basis one criteria, and this is to find the average when you have multiple criteria. And this wild character, this we will do later after doing all this. So first of all, let's quickly cover count A, count blank. What is the count function? Count function actually is to count the numbers. So if I have a table like this, I have some numbers here. If you want to count how many numbers you have in this table, okay, how will you do it? You can use the count function. So let me write the question here. Count numbers. So you will simply go and write count function. Count, and you select the table. You see that your answer should come as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. No blank cell, no text, and no alphanumeric. Simple. If you want to find count all, so you write count A. So you can write here count A. Count also sometimes people call it. Just drag this. 8. This will not count the blank cell. Remember that. Blank cell we cannot. Okay. But for the blank cell, we have the another function. If you want to count the blanks, what you will do? You will write count blank. You go in this table, you select the entire thing, and let me just go and do that. This is how we can do this. Count blank. Right? Obviously, if I say that can you count all the cells including the blank cell, then you can just go and combine both the functions. You can write here count A, and you just go and select this, and then you say plus count blank. You select this range. You have the 9. Right? Count all including blank. This is how. So these are very simple functions. Now what if I say that you want to count only text? only text values, which means alphabet, then what will you do? As such, we don't have any direct formula. Okay, so you will first of all count everything and you will subtract the number from it. That's it. So you can write here count A, you select everything and then you count, you subtract the numbers. So basically, you are, what you're doing actually, you're saying that count A means number plus text, and then you're subtracting the numbers from it, isn't it? This is what you're doing, simple maths. So you're saying that count A minus count. That is how it is. So finally, this is done. These are the very simple functions. Now let's talk about the COUNTIF and COUNTIFs and SUMIFs, because this is where the major use we have in the Excel, So I go and write here, let's say the board. So I go and write some of the boards here: CBSE, ICSE, or maybe Delhi, and then I write international, right? In this way. This is your data. How many students enrolled in which year? So you have the year as well, guys. So we have 1999, then I just go and add 1 to it. So this is what it is, and now we go and drag this, and finally you have the enrolled students. Okay, so we have the enrolled students. So we go and write, let's say we have 2000 students enrolled, and then we have 300 and so on. So you have the student enrolled numbers as well. Okay, and then in this we are going to say that, so how many students passed, for example. This is what we want to do. So how many students have passed? Let's say I go and write here this one. Okay, so we have here different numbers. Just do some variation here. Okay, let me copy and paste this. Some of the questions here we will try to answer. The first question is that how many times board CBSE is coming? This is the first question. Then the second question we want to do is how many times boards CBSE and international are coming. Then we will write, so how many times we have students enrolled greater than 4,000. How many times we got the students enrolled greater than 4,000, sort of these things. Okay, so and here one more thing, how many times we have, so we say that what is the count? What is the total count of boards excluding CBSE or excluding international board? This is also something we would like to do it. Okay, so what is the first question? The first question is how many times the board CBSE is coming. Now this is, we are not here obviously to use the count or count A, because count cannot, never ever, because it is a text. Count only counts the numbers. Count A, no, I don't want to count everything. I want to be specific in my search and I want to count only CBSE. So what you will do is you will use the COUNTIF. This is how we write, guys. COUNTIF. You start the bracket and then in the range and the criteria, only two parameters we have. What is your range, and in that range what you want to count. Simple, so simple. What is my range? This is my range. Because in this table I want to count the CBSE. You can exclude the header. You can start from D2 as well. That's okay. And then in the criteria, so what is my criteria? My criteria is CBSE, because it is a text, guys. If you remember in the if function also we use the double quotes, so please use the double quote, otherwise formula will not work. if it is a text you want to count or alphanumeric. I close the bracket, I press enter, and this is what we have got. So finally we have got 6, which is the 6 times the CBSE is coming. Simple. Let's talk about the another thing. If you want to count how many times international and CBSE both are coming, then you can use the again the COUNTIF. You go in this range, and in this range you count first of all CBSE, and then you add another COUNTIF. Okay, and now you can count the international. This is how it is. Simple. You added 2 functions. First it is going to count CBSE, then it is going to count international. How many times we have a student enrolled greater than 400 times? Well, again you have a criteria, COUNTIF, range. Your range should be this now. Sorry, this one, because here we want to filter the items with greater than 4,000. This is how it is. I press enter and we have the 10. So you can calculate here. I think the 10 times we will find here number greater than 4,000. Okay, maybe I think this is the range from where we start. Not maybe from here actually. Right, so these are the 10 numbers. If I go and do any change here, obviously you find that the number will also change. What is the total count of the boards excluding the international board? Now this is also interesting. So you use the COUNTIF, just one criteria, so we are using the COUNTIF. Range, now obviously you have to go to the board. Range should be correct. Now in this range I want to exclude international board, guys, right? So there are 2 ways of doing it. The first way, which I will not encourage you, that you go and find out the CBSE count, then you plus COUNTIF, and then in the second COUNTIF you write ICSE, and then you write DL, and then so on, excluding the international. But understand, if you have, let's say, 10 boards, so you have to write 9 times the COUNTIF, which will create a problem, you know. So that is how it is. So instead of doing that you write all the other boards, COUNTIF plus COUNTIF plus COUNTIF, you know, like we did in the previous example, we just right now say that not equals to, you remember this not equals to sign? I told you this in the if function, that please do not count anything not equals to international, and put it within the double quotes, as simple as that. So we have the answer as 10. So this is also the another method you can use it. This is how we use the COUNTIF functions. Now most of the time when we count something, we get many criterias where we have to qualify. For example, if I write here how many boards have got student enrolled greater than 6,000, guys. Suppose somebody asks you, so how many boards we have where we got student enrolled greater than 6,000? How many boards have got students enrolled greater than 6,000? Now this is little confusing. This may look like you have 2 criteria, but actually it is not, because you know you are only targeting the students enrolled greater than 6,000. So it doesn't matter whether it is a board or it is a number, you know, you want to target the enrolled header, because both the outputs will come same. So whether I say how many times we have student enrolled greater than 4,000 or how many boards have got student enrolled greater than 6,000, you see, if you look at it from the student's perspective, enrolled perspective, then obviously you just go and say that COUNTIF and you say again this is the enrolled, and this is how we're gonna say 6,000, greater than 6,000, right? We get the answer as 3. Getting my point? Now if you look at this question from the board perspective, that how many times the board is, how many boards we have where we got this greater than 6,000 enrolled students, then in that case you can further go ahead and use the count ifs as well. For example, you can also write count ifs, because we have multiple criterias. Okay, so in the criteria range 1, what I will do, I will first of all go the criteria range. So in the count ifs, when you write the count ifs, you have dot dot dot, so you can, when you press comma comma, you have so many criterias, there is no limit to it. But remember, this will count only if your criterias are going to be true. Okay, so that is the main difference. Now if you look at this question carefully, in the criteria range 1, what will you write? Like for example, if you say the board, there's no sense of selecting this, because we are not here specifically talking about any board. So what will you put the criteria in the criteria 1 in this range? There's no criteria. So basically this question can be managed pretty well with this count if using the greater than 6,000, because there is no second criteria. But if I just put this question in this way, for example, how many boards have students enrolled greater than 6,000, okay, after year 2004. Now here we have the two criteria now. One is you want to find out student enrolled greater than 6,000, but at the same time you want to find the year also should be greater than 2004. So if I have a student maybe here who where we have the 10,000 enrolled, it is not going to work. It should not work at all, because 1999 is not what we are considering. We are considering actually 2004. So how will you do this? Now you have two criteria. One is greater than 6,000, the second is greater than 2004, and both headers are different. So you use the count ifs, because we have now the multiple criteria. So my first criteria range 1 is going to be this. You can use any range, E or F column, whatever, because this works on the AND principle. All the conditions are supposed to be true, so you can put it in whatever way you want. In the F2 to F18, my criteria 1, in the criteria range 1, my criteria 1 is going to be what? My criteria 1 is going to be greater than 6,000. So you write here greater than 6,000. Now once you are done with it, with this, what is the criteria range 2? In the criteria range 2, I go and select the table now, guys, this year table, and here I will write the criteria 2, which is greater than 2004, and this is how you press enter and you have the answer. So how many boards? We have got only 3 boards, 3 times I mean the number of boards where we have this combination found, right? So how it calculates, actually I'll tell you in the background also how it works. It is going to help you. Now first of all, when you said that in this COUNTIF function, when you said that in the F2 to F18 find out the greater than 6,000, so here it says that is it greater than 2,000, is it greater than 6,000? It says true, this is false. So you will have the false here, false here. This is how basically your all the criterias are going to convert into the true and the false. I'm talking about the enrolled number, okay? So it is not greater than 6,000, so this is what you will find. Everywhere you will have this false, false. Again I have false. Here I will find this as true, because I got 6,200 people. So you have 6,200 true and true and true. Now finally one table have the combinations of true, false, true, false, true, false. What is the another thing I want to do? The another thing I want to do is that I go in the another table, which is E2 to E18, and there we will have the greater than 2004 in this table, right? So in the greater than 2004, it is false. So this is false, this is 2000 false, 2001 false, 2002 false, 2003 false, and this is also not greater than 2004, and finally we have the true. So we get the true here, we get the true here. I think all rest of all the items are going to be true. So guys, one table has this combination, one table has this combination. If you remember in the introduction sessions, we learned that in Excel true is 1 and false is 0. Look at this question. Look at this question. How many boards have students enrolled greater than 6,000 after year 2004? This is what we want to calculate, right? And I found the solution also, but I will just go and repeat that again. Not sure if you have seen that. You have multiple criteria here, so COUNTIF will not work, because COUNTIF is used when you have only one criteria. Now here I'm not talking about just the enrolled greater than 6,000. I'm talking about the year also, that year should also be greater than 2004 here in this case. So year has to be greater than 2004 and student enrolled has to be greater than 6,000. So guys, we will use the COUNTIFs because now we have the multiple criteria here, right? So the first criteria is I select this enrolled header, the range, and here I will filter out the 6,000, and then I write the criteria range 2. What is the range 2? This is my range 2, and in this range 2 I will write greater than 2004. That's it. You can move this order in any way. I mean, you can also calculate E1 to E18 with this criteria first, and then you can write this in the criteria range 2. That's okay. It is not going to make any difference because in the last it will find all the conditions should be true. So it doesn't matter whether you whether you check the first condition first and the second condition second, or maybe second condition first and the first condition second. It doesn't matter. So we got the number of times, the 3 boards we are getting here. 3 times we have this combination. But I was trying to tell you that in the background how COUNTIFs work. So what I did, the first array, the first table F1 to F18, we calculated the greater than 60 in the form of true and false. You see, for every enrolled number greater than 6,000 I am writing here true, and for every enrolled number which is not greater than 6,000 I am writing here false, because condition is not true, so you will have the false. Same way for the year, if it is greater than 2004, here we are writing here true, otherwise false. So you can see here for every year we have here false, 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 true, 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 and so on. This is how basically we are working on this. Now what happens, if you remember in Excel I told you that true is considered as 1. If I have to add this true, if I say that this plus this, for example, you will not get any error, you will get 2, because true is 1. And similarly, if you go and multiply the true and the false, we learned this in our introduction sessions that this is always going to be 0, because 0 and 1, if you multiply, you will get the 0. So the idea is, when your true combination, false combination created by COUNTIFs function in the background, they just go and multiply this, right? So they will go and so these 2 tables will be finally multiplied, and wherever you have 1 false, 1 true, or maybe 2 false, you will have the 0, and wherever you have 2 trues, you will get the 1. This is how it is. So you'll get the we got the 3 trues here, so that's how it is. This is how it is, right? So this is just for information. I mean, I was just trying to tell you that in the background the true and the false combinations happen. This is how it is getting calculated, right? So countif is a function which countifs is a function where you can put n number of criterias. There is no limit to it. Okay, for example, if I ask you, let's try to prepare a dashboard, a mini dashboard. Let's say we want to see that after year 2005 and before 2005, what is the board's performance, right? What is the board performance in terms of students passed? Okay, student passed, for example. This is what we want to actually check, right? So now in this particular case, what we are trying to find out is that before 2005 and after 2005, how many students have passed. We want to do the comparison, and the good thing is that this time we want to do this comparison for every board. So how you will do it? So maybe we can write here a board. You write here all the CBSE board, ICSE board. If you have a multiple boards coming here, maybe let's say 10, 15, 20, you can go and copy this entire range, go in the new sheet, paste it here, select this entire column, and let us go ahead and remove the duplicates. Go in the data tab, click on the remove duplicates, and now my data has headers. Yes, by default this is check marked. If you do not do this, what will happen? Your board will also be a part of your calculation. You don't want to keep the board in the removing duplicates, you know, because board is a header. So finally we go and select OK, and you see that 13 duplicates values are removed. So you can quickly go and copy this and you can put it here. So I can just go and put it here. So finally I have got my boards. This is the another way if you have a long list. Otherwise manually also you can write. Now what I will do here is I will join this merge and center just from the designing perspective, and I'm gonna write here greater than 2005, or maybe I can write here after 2005. That's all depends how you want to write it. Then again I go and join this and I write here before 2005, right? This is how the analysis we're gonna do. Let me merge this. Okay, now we can go and certainly give it a color. So this is my color, and we can give this a white font maybe, and we can go and so this is how the table looks like. Here I have the board. So in the boards now let us go ahead and calculate, you know, these things. So I just go and change the font again. Let's say maybe I use the Arial. Okay, so now guys, after 2005 I go and merge these two cells as well. Merge this, paintbrush it quickly, double click on the paintbrush, keep on clicking here, so you will have the formatting done quickly. If you double click on the paintbrush will never deactivate. If you single click it, you have to do it every time. So okay, I think I did a mistake. Let me redo it. Merge and center, double click on it, and now let's click. Yeah, so now it is merging the cells. I'm just trying to increase the width of the cells, nothing special. So this is my table. Let's go and give it a width. That's how it looks like now. Perfect. So this is my board. I should write the board here, and these are my basically, so this is the header. Let's leave it as it is. Let's give it a no border. Okay, right? So this is your basically, you can give it a thick border as well. Okay, fine. Now after 2005 I want to see how many people have passed from this board. So we can use the countifs criteria range 1. This is my range 1. In this range we will filter the CBSE. I can write here CBSE guys, but I will not because I have to drag this. So you make this dynamic. Instead of writing the CBSE in the double quote, select the H7 because H7 will then be H8, H9. and then I will go in the past, and here I will write after 2005. After 2005, obviously greater than 2005. Close this. So we have seen that now, you know, number of people which have passed, it's coming as 5 times. Okay, so basically what we are saying is that CBSE has produced 5 times the students, you know, passed after the greater than 2005. Now remember, I'm not here talking about the number of students which you want to add. We're just trying to count it. If you want to add these numbers 5 times, whatever the numbers are coming, we will use the SUMIF, which is the next target. Right now I'm only interested in finding out that in particularly from the CBSE, how many times we have got the past people, which is going to come from here. Okay, after your greater than 2005, this 2005. Okay, so now, or maybe you can do one thing also, guys. If you understand this concept carefully, after year 2005, you really I think you should not be targeting the past, but you should be, my mistake actually, you should be targeting the year 2005, you know, 2005. And one more thing we want to add here. Let me change my question. After 2005 and before 2005, what is the board performance in terms of student passed? And the student passed should be greater than 4,000. This is what it is. So basically we are saying that after 2005, from every board, how many students have, you know, passed greater than 4,000 for every year. So we want to see this, right? So in this particular case, now you have already calculated the year, that after 2005 in the B2 to B18, but then further we go and create one more criteria, that in the passing numbers also we want to only target that in which year student passed was greater than 4,000, which is really a big number. So we are not considering those boards where the student pass number is less than 4,000, because we think that that's not really a good number, right? So we want to see the performance. So that's why we say that in the D2 to D18, now further go and write here greater than 4,000. So this will tell us that we are actually getting how many times from the board, you know, this passing percentage greater than 4,000, and it is only 2 times. Okay, so we go and freeze this completely. I freeze the table. I keep my H7 as H7 only, but I will go and change this to $H, because I have to move this left to right also for the 2005. And this D2 to D18 range, again I will go and freeze this. Then you go and drag this. So basically, okay, so we are getting the error here. We have to see why we're getting the error. So ICSE board, let me go and check that. Let me press F2. So my range is this. This is my one table, this is my second table, and this is my third table. So what is the issue? Okay, I think there is some problem here. You can see that this range is, okay, I forgot to freeze the B19, guys, you know. So I said this before also, I'm not sure if I have told you, but you have to make sure that arrays which you create, the range which you use, they should have a same number of cells, you know. That should not be the problem. We forgot to freeze the B18, right? So that should not be B19 going down. All the tables should have the same range. So finally we have got it. Now you can see international boards are doing pretty well after 2005, because 5 times they have got people more than 4,000 who are passed from their boards, which is a very good number. And DL and ICSE are not really doing well. They are on the danger zone, because they don't have any passing percentage greater than 4,000. So they may have 2,000 people getting passed every year, or 1,000 people, but that's not what we are looking. We are looking for the big number. So CBSE is also, I mean, it's not, I mean, comparatively to the ICSE and DL, CBSE is doing good, but it's not even meeting up the 50% of the international board. So that's a sort of survey we are doing, right? So what about the before? Well, you copy this and paste it here. All the conditions are set except for this less than 2005. You just need to change this to 2005 so that we can see that before 2005 what was the number. So now you can see that CBSE actually has improved, and rest everything, in fact all the other boards have improved. No board was able to give us the 4,000 students from the passing perspective before 2005. But then after 2005, CBSE and international boards have done a good job. ICSE and Delhi, they still need to do the improvement, right? So this is how, I mean, you can make these wonderful comparisons. Now let's go and talk about the another function, which is a SUMIF function. So guys, if let's say you have to find out that how many students in total passed from CBSE board. If this is your question, what will you do? You want to calculate the total number of students passed, but here you have CBSE coming different number of times, right? So what will you do? Well, maybe you can select the CBSE and you can see where we have the CBSE. For example, this is how we can select and we can total them. You can see on my this status bar, it says 19939, 19,939 students have passed in total from the CBSE board. But how will you show this in the formula? So we will go and use the SUMIF, because we want to now sum, we don't want to count it, right? So you go and SUMIF. There is a one criteria which is only the board, that's why we are using only SUMIF. Now in the SUMIF you have three criterias: range, criteria and sum range. Sum range will always be a number because you can never sum the text values. So let's start this range. What is your range? Obviously the range where you want to put the criteria, and then the criteria comes, this is CBSE, and then against this criteria where you want to sum, which is that range. Just give that range, guys, and this is how this will happen. So all the CBSE boards are going to be filtered and corresponding their past numbers will be added automatically, because this is a SUMIF function. And you can see that I have got the same answer, which is 19,939. So this is how you can use this. If you want to find the sum for all the boards, CBSE, ICSE, DL, international, of course you can do that. You can then simply go and say SUMIF range. You will go in this again the same formula, same range, but this time don't put the CBSE in the quotes. Rather than that, select the K7 so that when I drag this, K7 will be K8 and the formula will be dynamic. Rest everything remains the same. So we will go and create this formula in this way, and now I will go and freeze this F4. I will go and freeze the ranges, and this is how the formula is going to look like. So when I drag this, finally we have all the number of students getting passed. So you can see international boards are doing pretty well. After that we have the CBSE, and then we have DL board, and then ICSE board. So ICSE board is the one which needs the significant improvement. This is how you use the SUMIF. Now the question comes, where you use the SUMIFs then? Now for example, guys, if I write the same question but I say that how many students passed from, let's say, CBSE board after year 2005. Now you have a CBSE board criteria and you have a year criteria. Two criteria you have. So you will use, because you can't use the SUMIF, because if you start using the SUMIF, you will find that what the criteria I'm going to put. If you even start it as a beginner, maybe let's say you don't realize initially that it is going to be SUMIF, but the moment you start SUMIF, you yourself ask that what I'm supposed to do in one criteria, because here I can put either CBSE or 2005. So that's why you go and use the SUMIFs. Again, you can see in the sum ifs we have the dot 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 in the last. So if I press comma, you see that you can put as many criteria as you want, like in the count ifs, right? So let's go and check that. Never ever try to remember the formulas, as I always say, because in this case sum range comes first. In the sum if, the sum range comes in the last. So we don't have to remember that, just follow the parameter sum range. You know what is sum range? I want to sum what? I want to sum the past student. So I go and select the past student. I can freeze the table also side by side. What is the criteria range 1? Yeah, well, again, as I said, you can put any criteria first. There is no choice because it works on the AND combination. So let's say I select the CBSE board first. This is my range, criteria range 1. And in this range, I want to filter what? I want to filter CBSE. CBSE is filtered, but now I have one more criteria, that after the year this CBSE should be counted after the year 2005. So you select criteria range to E2 to E18, and then in the criteria 2 you go and write after year 2005, which we know that is going to become coming as 2005, and then you just press enter, and guys, this is the number in front of you. So we have got, if you want to check that quickly, you can go and put the filter here. Let's go and check that, are we getting the correct answer? So we will go and filter on the CBSE and the year 2005. So first I go and put the filter on the CBSE, and then I go in the year and I deselect all the years which are coming before 2005. So these are the 2 years. I go and sum them. Let me sum them. What is the answer? You can see here 11,119 students have passed. So is this the answer? Let me go and check that. Yes, 11,119 is coming. So this is how we use the sum ifs with the multiple criterias. Right now, in the next session we will be talking about the average if, average ifs, though they work on the same principle, but still I'll just kind of talk about that maybe for 1 or 2 minutes. But after that, what we will do is we will take the we will understand the use of the wild characters, because that is very, very powerful thing, and you can use that with the sum if and the count if functions. So for the time being, let's wrap it up, and let's meet in the next session now. Do you have any questions?
Ajay, in count ifs, I mean, previous tab, not this one, the other one. Yeah. Here in the last question, how many boards have enrolled after?
Have enrolled greater than
Yeah,
6,000.
it's in, yeah, this one. Yeah. Here actually, if we see international and CBSE 2 times they have something. If the boards are same, but we should get only one.
No.
I mean,
Both
CBSE 2 times and international 1 time.
boards are not same, because every board is different, because every year the boards are coming. So you are trying to find out that after 2004 how many boards we have got in total, including the repetition if the board is coming, because year will be different. How many times we have got the student enrolled greater than 6,000. So we want to check that basically towards which board students are more inclined, they're going to which board. So if you go and put the filter here on the year after 2004 and 6004, so this is what you will see. Let me just put the filter here. So let's say after the year 2004, so you go and select this 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and so on. So now you have to find out that these are the years which we want to target, but in these years also further we want to see that which board has taken the admission greater than 6,000. So 6,000 greater than coming, I think this is the one. We have only this one, right? Okay, let me just go and click OK. So this is coming only for the one board. Let me go and check that. So we have got the answer as 3. Okay, so in this particular case, it's greater than 2004. What I did, I don't know what I calculated it. Let me check first of all. This is greater than 2004 and greater than, no, I'm sorry, my mistake. We are talking about the enrolled, not the past. I think I put the filter in the past. We're talking about the enrolled. So enrolled would be greater than 6,000. Yeah, so finally you have this, and in this now you know the year should be greater than 2004. So these are the 3 years. So you have 3 as your answer. Simple. Clear?
Okay. I was just trying, like, international is 1, CBSE is twice, right? Can we make it consider CBSE once? I mean, removing the duplicate kind of boards.
Don't consider this as a duplicate, because this is the year
Okay,
on
okay.
year data. Here we are
Yeah.
now you see, if when you go to a school, you study there 10 years, right? Like first to matriculation you
Yeah.
do. So every year is a different for you. So every year you will have a different marks coming, right? So in this, if you refer to this particular data, you cannot say that CBSE is supposed to be counted only once, because you have a different targets every year. So that way the analysis is not going to happen. You can't merge all the different years output into single output, into 1 year output, right? But yes, if you want to count only, as I said, if you only want to count that how many times the CBSE is coming in this table, in that way you can definitely use the COUNTIF as we did here. 6 times it is coming. So if 6 times it is coming, you know that basically the 5 times it is repeating. As simple as that, you can see that. So this is how it is. If you have a specific question, you can ask me.
Okay. I was just asking, like, if I can merge that criteria also into this. I mean,
Which criteria?
not about the. I mean, I just don't want to need same board name multiple times. I mean, uh,
No, in
if
that
I can
case,
add that.
see, in that case, this is not how it is going to be done. In that case, you will have to use the if functions. You can say that if so, for example, you counted the number of times the boards are coming 3, but now in this particular situation we do not know how many times the CBC is repeating, how many times the ICSE is repeating, how many times DL is repeating in this number 3, and that's not basically easy for us. In fact, why we need that? If you have to count on the board specific thing, then maybe you can do one thing. You can write here a chart separate for the CBSE, and then you write here the separate chart for the ICSE, and then DL. And then what you can do is you can use this COUNTIFs on these boards specifically. So you can say that COUNTIFs, you go in this criteria, let's say have the student enrolled greater than 6,000, and then in the criteria range 2, you want to check this year. So which year? Well, you want to check the year greater than 2004, and then finally you want to check in this board as well. You want to filter the board, so you're going to write here CBSE in this way. So it's coming 2 times. Now it's coming 2 times, it means that we have got 2 such years after 2004 where the output of the board, the student enrolled number was greater than 6,000. So I don't think so you would like to treat this as 1. I mean, because it entirely changes the story. So it entirely depends upon the question. But yes, using this kind of a approach, you can at least find out that from every board how many times we are, we have performed so well that people enrolled, was actually greater than 6,000. So if you just go and drag this, what you find is that, okay, so I again get the error here. I forgot to freeze this F18. Let me quickly freeze this and copy this and paste this. So you see that actually all the boards are doing good. Here all the boards are no, my mistake. I should have not written a CBSE. This is static. I should use the CBSE here, K19, and now I copy and paste it. So you can see that ICSE DL are not doing well. CBSE is the only one which has got 2 times, in these years. In these years means after the 2004, 2 times CBSE has struck this a big time achievement. So that's how you read it. Maybe you can think on your question specifically, but what you're asking right now is that's not, that we cannot do in this kind of a database. But if you think on it, you make some questions, maybe we can discuss it tomorrow.